there, and welcome to the Boring Universe channel. Take a moment to settle into your seat or your bed. Let your shoulders soften. Let your breathing slow just a little. Tonight, there is nothing you need to remember, nothing you need to solve. We're simply going to drift together through strange but calm facts about time, the quiet companion that never asks for attention, yet never leaves you alone. Time does not move the same everywhere. Right now, the seconds near your feet are passing a little more slowly than the seconds near your head. The difference is tiny, far too small to feel, but it is there. A gentle reminder that time bends softly, even in stillness. There was a moment when time itself was young, not minutes or hours young, but so new that it had barely learned how to move forward. In those early moments of the universe, time stretched slowly, like something waking up for the first time. Your brain does not experience time as a straight line. It edits, trims, and rearranges it quietly, without asking you. Long moments can vanish, while a few seconds can feel like an afternoon. A watched clock feels slower because your attention stretches time, not because the clock changes, but because your mind lingers longer between moments. There are places in the universe where time passes more slowly than here. Far from everything, where gravity is strong and motion is calm, seconds relax and drift apart. The present moment is thinner than you imagine. By the time you notice now, it has already begun to slip gently into memory. Time does not flow like a river. It moves more like fog, thick in some places, almost absent in others. Ancient people did not measure time by numbers. They listened to shadows, seasons, and the slow return of familiar stars. Before clocks existed, mornings arrived when light felt ready. Nights ended when darkness grew tired of staying. There are moments you lived that your mind chose not to store, not because they were unimportant, but because time is selective and kind. Your heartbeat is one of the oldest clocks in existence. Long before calendars, bodies counted time by rhythm. Time feels slower when nothing is happening because your awareness has space to stretch. Stillness gives seconds room to breathe. There are clocks today that lose less than 1 second in millions of years. They tick with patience that borders on silence. Yet, even the most perfect clock cannot measure how long a memory lasts. Time has no sound, yet silence often makes it feel louder. When you close your eyes, time loosens its grip. Without sights to mark change, moments soften and blur. In deep space, far from stars, time barely notices itself moving at all. A single second can contain thousands of unnoticed moments, breaths, thoughts, tiny shifts you never register. Time does not speed up as you age. Your reference points simply grow wider, making new moments feel smaller by comparison. Waiting does not change time, but it changes how gently or sharply time touches you. Dreams ignore time completely. Minutes can stretch into hours, and hours can vanish without leaving footprints. There are memories from childhood that feel closer than last week. Time folds itself quietly around emotion. The universe is old, unimaginably old, yet time itself is still unfinished. Some moments refuse to leave. They sit quietly in the background, unchanged by years. Others disappear the moment they arrive, like mist dissolving in air. Right now, as you listen, time is not rushing you. It is simply passing by, careful not to disturb your rest. And as this first part slowly comes to a pause, you don't need to remember a single thing. Time will carry it for you. Just breathe. Let the seconds loosen and allow yourself to drift gently into the next moment. Time does not always behave the way it does here. There are regions of the universe where it moves as if it has learned patience from the dark. Far from stars where almost nothing happens, time barely leaves footprints. Seconds pass, but they do not announce themselves. They drift, unnoticed, like dust in still air. Near massive objects, time grows heavy. It slows, stretching gently, as if weighed down by gravity's quiet hand. A second there is not the same second here. If you stood close enough to such a place, your clock would fall behind without making a sound. Not broken, just calmer. Time does not mind being bent. It was never rigid to begin with. Light itself takes time to travel. Every star you see tonight is already a memory, arriving late but steady. Some of that light began its journey before your planet existed. The sky is full of delayed moments. When ancient people looked upward, they saw the past without knowing its name. They felt time in cycles, not distances. A year once meant the return of warmth. A month meant the moon learning its shape again. There are stretches of time with no witnesses at all. Millions of years passed before eyes existed to notice them. Time does not need observers. It moves even when nothing is watching. The universe once expanded so quickly that time itself struggled to keep up. In those early instants, moments stretched thin like fabric pulled too fast. Some scientists believe time may have more than one direction, not forward or backward, just different ways of unfolding. Your body carries many clocks at once. Cells divide on schedules older than language. Hormones rise and fall like tides you never see. You feel tired not because time says so, but because your inner rhythms whisper it gently. Time slows when you are afraid. It widens, creating space for awareness. Time speeds up when you are absorbed. Not because it moves faster, but because you leave fewer markers behind. There are moments your brain stitches together, smoothing over gaps you never feel. Small disappearances that go unnoticed. You have already forgotten most of today, and that forgetting is part of how time stays light. In deep oceans where sunlight barely reaches, time feels ancient. Creatures there move as if they are not in a hurry to arrive anywhere. Some animals live almost entirely outside your sense of time. They follow temperature, light, and instinct instead of hours. A mountain measures time through erosion. A grain of sand remembers the wind. Even stillness is a form of movement through time. A shadow crossing the ground is time made visible, slow, patient, unconcerned. Clocks were invented to organize people, not moments. Time existed long before it learned numbers. There were centuries when no one knew the exact hour. Days opened and closed when they felt ready. Time feels heavier when you resist it, lighter when you let it pass through you. The future is already forming quietly, without effort. Not rushing, not waiting. Right now, time is not demanding anything from you. It is simply sharing space. As this part gently settles, nothing needs to continue in your mind. Time will keep moving, whether you follow it or not. Let your breathing stay slow. Let the moments soften around you. And when you are ready, allow yourself to drift into the next quiet stretch of time. There are moments in the universe that unfold so slowly they barely resemble movement. Time there does not hurry. It simply exists, wide and unpressured. Stars are born over stretches of time so long they feel almost imaginary. Clouds of gas drift thin and patient, until gravity gathers them gently together. Nothing forces the moment. It arrives when it is ready. A single star can take millions of years just to begin shining. Time does not rush light into being. When a star finally ignites, it does not announce itself. It glows quietly, content to shine without witnesses. Some stars live for billions of years, burning steadily, never changing enough for anyone nearby to notice. Their time is measured in calm endurance. The universe has known long eras of silence, ages when nothing dramatic happened at all. And those quiet stretches were just as real as moments of great change. Time does not prefer excitement. Galaxies rotate slowly, completing a single turn over hundreds of millions of years. From inside, nothing feels like motion. Everything appears still. Your entire species has existed for less than one slow turn of a galaxy. Light leaving a distant galaxy begins its journey without knowing if anyone will ever see it. It travels anyway. Some light has been moving toward you since before Earth had oceans. It arrives gently, without urgency. Time allows such patience. The universe remembers everything in its own way, not through memory, but through position, motion, and quiet consequence. There are places where nothing changes for millions of years, and places where everything changes in moments. Time accommodates both. When a star reaches the end of its life, it does not rush that ending either. Even collapse happens over time, step by careful step. In the vastness of space, explosions are slow events. The idea of now loses meaning when distances grow large. Different parts of the universe live in different moments at once. There is no single present for everything. Time does not gather itself into one place. It spreads. A second on Earth is not the same second everywhere else. Yet, time accepts this without conflict. Your life fits easily into the universe's schedule. Nothing about it is out of place. The universe has never been late. There were moments when the universe was dark, empty, and quiet beyond imagination. Time still passed, even without light to mark it. Darkness does not stop time, it only hides it. The slow cooling of space continues endlessly, a gentle drifting toward stillness, measured not in days, but in vast stretches without names. Some processes are so slow they feel like permanence, but even those are moving. Nothing is frozen in time. Everything is simply taking its turn. Your own breathing mirrors this patience, in and out, without counting. Time inside your body flows at many speeds at once. Cells renew, thoughts flicker, rhythms repeat. You are never experiencing just one moment of time. There are changes happening in your body right now that will take years to notice. Time works quietly when no one is watching. The universe does not count its age. It simply continues. If time had a personality, it would be gentle rather than strict, flexible rather than firm. It allows room for rest. As this part drifts towards stillness, there is no need to follow each thought. They can pass by like distant stars, faint and unimportant. Let time continue without effort. Let the universe carry its slow stories without your attention. You are safe inside this moment. Time knows how to hold you, and when you are ready, without rushing, you can drift onward into the next quiet movement of time. Time outside you moves without emotion. Time inside you is shaped by feeling. A single minute can feel endless when you're waiting. The same minute can disappear when you're calm and absorbed. Time itself does not change, only the way it brushes past your awareness. Your mind does not measure time in seconds. It measures it in events, changes, and meaning. When nothing changes, time feels wide. When everything changes at once, time feels narrow. This is why silence can feel long, even when it is brief, and why joy can pass without leaving edges behind. The brain does not store every moment equally. It keeps the ones that glow and releases the rest without regret. Time feels slower in childhood because everything is new. Each experience creates a clear marker. Each day feels full. As you grow, familiarity smooths the surface of time. Days blend, moments pass quietly, not because life is faster, but because fewer moments ask to be remembered. The first time you see something, time opens itself wide. The 100th time, it closes gently. This is not loss, it is efficiency. Your mind protects you from overload by letting time flow softly. Waiting feels long because your attention stays awake. Anticipation stretches moments into soft tension. Boredom is time with nothing to rest on. It feels empty because your mind is searching for shape. Calm is different. Calm is time that has found a place to settle. When you breathe slowly, time follows. Not because you command it, but because your awareness loosens. Your heartbeat does not hurry. It keeps its own rhythm, steady and forgiving. Sleep is a place where time steps aside. Hours pass without leaving weight. Dreams borrow time without returning it intact. They fold minutes into scenes, then let them go. Memory reshapes time long after it has passed. Some moments grow brighter, others fade to outlines. You remember how something felt more clearly than when it happened. Time leaves behind emotion, not detail. There are days that feel long while you're in them, but short when you look back. And days that feel short while living them, but long when remembered. Time is not consistent inside you. It is responsive. Fear sharpens time. It slices moments thin and precise. Safety softens time. It allows moments to blur together gently. This is why quiet places feel timeless. There is nothing demanding your attention. Your sense of time weakens when your mind feels safe enough to wander. The present moment grows larger when you stop checking it. Time passes most smoothly when you're not measuring it. There are moments you will never remember, and they are not missing. They serve their purpose by passing quietly. You do not need to hold every second for it to matter. Time inside you is not meant to be controlled. It is meant to be experienced lightly. Right now, nothing needs to happen. Time is not counting your breaths. It is moving alongside them. As this part settles into stillness, you can allow your thoughts to loosen their grip. Let minutes arrive and leave without noticing their names. Time knows how to pass on its own. You don't need to help it. Just rest here gently as the next quiet stretch of time begins to form. Some moments are so slow they feel like they are standing still, not frozen, just unhurried. Mountains grow at a pace that barely deserves the word movement. Stone lifts itself millimeter by millimeter, listening to gravity and time agree. A river carves a canyon by repeating the same gentle action for ages. No force, just patience. Time respects repetition. There are stars that change so slowly that no living thing has ever seen them age. They look the same now as they did when the first life stirred in Earth's oceans. Time allows such steadiness. The cooling of the universe is one of the longest processes known. It has been happening since the beginning and will continue long after everything familiar has faded. Nothing urges it forward. Ice sheets remember winters that no story can describe. They move with the weight of centuries, pressing forward without sound. A single layer of ice can hold thousands of years of time, stacked quietly. In the deepest oceans, currents take centuries to complete a single loop. Water travels vast distances without ever seeing light. Time moves there without witnesses. Some processes take so long that they feel like background conditions rather than events. But they are still moments, stretched wide. The orbit of distant galaxies unfolds over spans so long that before and after lose meaning. They turn as if time itself were thick. Even decay can be slow. Some atoms take longer than the age of the universe to change at all. Time does not insist on completion. A tree does not hurry to grow rings. Each year leaves a thin line, almost invisible on its own. Only when many years gather do patterns appear. Time prefers accumulation. Deserts form grain by grain, carried by wind that never tires. A landscape emerges from countless tiny moments. Nothing dramatic is required. The formation of planets is a slow conversation between dust and gravity. Particles drift, meet, separate, and meet again. Eventually, something solid forms, not suddenly but inevitably. Time does not rush creation. Even silence takes time to arrive. It settles gradually when sounds decide not to return. Night does not fall all at once. It slides in gently, dimming edges before shapes disappear. The oldest light you can see has been traveling almost the entire age of the universe. It never sped up. It simply kept going. Time carried it faithfully. There are moments so slow that they feel like permanence. But permanence is just slowness viewed from nearby. Everything is moving, even when it feels complete. Your own body contains processes that will take years to finish. Bones renewing, cells replacing themselves quietly. Time works on you gently. Nothing in you is in a hurry. The slowest moments are often the most stable ones. They hold shape because they are not rushed. Calm is a kind of slowness. Rest is time allowed to widen. You do not need to match the pace of the world. Time has room for you exactly as you are. As this part drifts toward stillness, there is no ending to notice. The slowest moments do not conclude. They simply continue. Let your breathing remain easy. Let the seconds pass without comment. Time is moving slowly now, and that is enough. Long before numbers learned to march in rows, people noticed that time taught itself through change. A shadow sliding across stone became a lesson, not precise, just dependable. The earliest clocks did not tick, they drifted. Sundials listened to the sun without asking it to hurry. They worked only when light agreed to participate. On cloudy days, time rested. Water clocks measured time by letting it escape slowly, a steady drip, a quiet surrender. Each drop marked a moment leaving. These clocks did not care about seconds. They cared about continuity. Sand clocks borrowed gravity's patience. Grain after grain, falling without preference. No grain knew it was marking time. Early calendars followed the moon because the moon returned faithfully. It never rushed. It never missed. Months were once shapes in the sky, not boxes on paper. Time was circular before it became straight. In many places, the day did not begin at midnight. It began when darkness arrived, or when light felt complete. Hours were longer in summer, shorter in winter. Time adjusted itself to life instead of the other way around. Mechanical clocks arrived much later. They introduced discipline to moments that had never asked for it. Suddenly, time had teeth. Minutes became exact. Seconds gained edges. Time was no longer something you noticed. It became something you obeyed. But even the most careful clock cannot stop time from feeling different. A clock can tell you when something happened. It cannot tell you how it felt. You can measure a minute precisely and still experience it unevenly. People once lived entire lives without knowing the exact hour, and time still passed. They woke with light, rested with darkness, worked until bodies asked to stop. Time lived in the body, not the wall. When clocks grew smaller and portable, time followed people everywhere, into pockets, onto wrists, into rooms that once ignored it. Time became visible again, but sharper. Still, time never fully belonged to clocks. It simply allowed them to follow. Even today, clocks drift. They require correction, patience, and agreement. Time itself does not drift. Our attempts to hold it do. A clock face moves, but time does not rotate. It passes. Pendulums swing because gravity allows them to. If gravity changed, timekeeping would change too. Time is not impressed by precision. It remains flexible. Your body still keeps older time. Hunger, fatigue, comfort. These rhythms existed long before clocks named them. You do not feel minutes pass, you feel changes. Stillness confuses clocks, but comforts time. When you sit quietly, time does not vanish. It simply stops announcing itself. Clocks taught humans to hurry, but time itself never asked for speed. You can put a clock away, and time will continue perfectly. Right now, you are not late for anything. Time is not counting you. It is accompanying you. As this part softens toward its quiet end, there is nothing to remember. Clocks may keep moving, schedules may exist elsewhere. But here, time is unmeasured again. Let the moments pass without names. Let the rhythm return to something older and kinder. Time knows how to continue, and you are allowed to rest while it does. There are moments when time forgets to measure itself, not because it has stopped, but because nothing is asking it to perform. Late at night, time loosens. Hours soften at the edges. Minutes stop lining up so neatly. This is when clocks feel less convincing. In quiet rooms, time spreads out like a blanket. It no longer presses forward. It simply rests with you. The absence of urgency changes everything. Without deadlines, time loses its sharpness. You may notice that you stop counting, not on purpose. It just happens. Time does not need numbers to exist. There are places where schedules feel unnatural. Forests at night, empty beaches before dawn, deserts where shadows barely move. In these places, time behaves the way it always wanted to. Animals do not know the hour. They know when light fades, when air cools, when stillness arrives. Their sense of time is woven into sensation, not measurement. Humans once lived this way too. Time arrived through cues, not commands. The night sky does not care what time it is. Stars rise and set without acknowledging clocks. They have been doing this longer than hours have had names. When you are deeply calm, time becomes generous. It gives space between thoughts. Silence stretches seconds until they feel wide and open. You do not notice time passing when nothing resists it. This is why rest feels timeless. Not because time disappears, but because it stops asking for attention. There are memories you have with no sense of duration, only feeling. Time inside them has dissolved. Moments of safety often feel this way, protected, unmeasured. When you stop anticipating what comes next, time settles. Expectation tightens time. Acceptance softens it. The future does not pull as hard when the present feels complete. At night, your body releases its grip on precision. Rhythms slow. Awareness narrows gently. Time shifts from something external to something internal. You begin to feel time instead of tracking it. Breaths become markers. Heartbeats replace seconds. This is older time, biological time, forgiving time. Clocks still move, but they feel distant. Their authority fades. You are no longer moving through time. Time is moving through you. This is why falling asleep feels like slipping out of time. Not gone, just unattended. Dreams ignore duration completely. They borrow moments and return them reshaped. In dreams, time is not linear. It curves, it overlaps, it forgets itself. And yet, when you wake, time has continued faithfully. It never left you behind. You are allowed to stop keeping score. Nothing is being counted right now. Nothing is being measured. Time is not asking for productivity. It is offering passage. As this part eases toward stillness, you do not need to follow it. Let minutes drift without names. Let thoughts rise and fade without sequence. Time will keep moving, softly, quietly, whether you notice or not. And you can rest inside it, unhurried, as the next calm stretch of time begins to form. The present moment is smaller than it feels, not narrow, just light. By the time you notice it, it has already begun to change. This does not make it fragile. It makes it continuous. The present is not a point. It is a gentle overlap. Your senses are always slightly late. Sound arrives after it is made. Light arrives after it is sent. What you experience as now is already a soft echo, and still, it feels immediate. Time allows this illusion kindly. It gives you a place to stand, even if that place is always moving. The present is not meant to be held. It is meant to be passed through. Trying to stay in the present often makes it feel tighter. Letting it pass makes it wider. You never actually leave the present. It simply keeps renewing itself beneath you. Each breath resets it. There is no exact boundary where the past ends and the present begins. They blend like colors at dusk. Memory is not behind you. It lives alongside the moment, coloring it quietly. Anticipation does the same. The future leans in gently, without arriving. The present holds both, without effort. Time does not ask you to focus on it. It prefers when you forget. When attention relaxes, the present feels calmer, less sharp, more spacious. This is why simple activities feel grounding. Washing hands, watching light shift, listening to distant sounds. They do not trap you in the present. They allow you to pass through it smoothly. The present moment is not special because it is brief. It is special because it keeps happening. No matter how much time passes, the present never runs out. There has always been a present, even before there were minds to notice it. There will be a present long after everything familiar has faded. Time keeps offering it again and again. You do not need to chase it. It arrives on its own. When you stop naming moments, the present softens. It becomes texture instead of point, a feeling, a temperature, a rhythm. The present does not require understanding. It requires permission to pass. Some moments feel fuller, not because they last longer, but because nothing is pulling you away from them. Completion stretches the present. Urgency slices it thin. There is no perfect present to achieve. There is only the one that keeps unfolding. Even rest happens in the present, especially rest. When you lie still, time does not pause. It simply stops pushing. You are never behind the present. You're always inside it. This is why regret feels heavy. It tries to pull you into a version of time that cannot be re-entered. Acceptance lightens the present. It lets time move without resistance. The present moment is not something to master. It is something to inhabit lightly. Right now, nothing needs to be different. The present is already sufficient. As this part drifts toward quiet, you do not need to hold on to it. Another present will arrive immediately, and another, and another. Time is generous this way. Let your awareness soften around the edges. Let moments come and go without inspection. The present will continue, thin and endless, carrying you gently into the next calm stretch of time. Most of time does not announce itself. It does not arrive with significance. It passes quietly, disguised as ordinary moments. Days that seem uneventful often contain the most time. They stretch gently, without peaks or edges. Later, they blur together, not because they were empty, but because nothing insisted on being remembered. Time hides best in routine. Repetition does not erase time. It smooths it. Waking up, eating, walking, resting. These are not pauses in time. They are time itself, unfolding calmly. The mind remembers contrast more than continuity. Change leaves marks. Stability leaves peace. This is why calm periods feel shorter in memory. They did not need to stand out. Nothing was wrong. Nothing demanded attention. Time passes most kindly when nothing insists on meaning. There are hours you will never recall, yet they supported you completely. They held your body steady. They allowed your mind to rest between thoughts. Time does not require acknowledgement to be useful. A quiet afternoon can contain as much time as a dramatic year. The difference is volume, not length. When nothing interrupts you, time becomes soft fabric instead of sharp edges. Ordinary days are where time practices patience. A cup cooling on a table measures time without numbers. So does dust settling in a sunbeam. Light shifting across a wall is time teaching itself how to move slowly. You rarely notice these moments because they are not asking to be noticed. Time does not feel the need to impress you. There are seasons of life where nothing seems to change. From inside, they feel still. From outside, they are full of quiet adjustment. Growth often hides in repetition, so does healing. Time knows this. This is why rushing feels uncomfortable. It pulls you out of time's natural pace. Slowing down does not add time. It reveals it. When you stop scanning for milestones, moments widen naturally. The ordinary becomes spacious. Time is not bored by routine. It thrives in it. A familiar walk taken many times is not wasted time. Each step is a moment completed. You do not need novelty for time to pass meaningfully. Some of the longest stretches of time you will ever experience will feel almost invisible. That invisibility is a form of comfort. It means nothing urgent is required. Time flows most smoothly where resistance is lowest. There are evenings that leave no memory except a sense of calm. They did their work quietly. Not every moment needs to become a story. Some moments are simply padding, soft material that protects you from sharpness. Time provides this generously. Even now, nothing remarkable is happening. And time is still moving perfectly. It does not need your participation. You can let it pass through you like air. The ordinary is not empty. It is full of unnoticed continuity. Time prefers continuity. As this part settles into stillness, there is no highlight to hold on to. Just a gentle passing. Let the day, imagined or real, remain simple. Let time hide where it is most comfortable, inside quiet moments that do not ask to be remembered. And as those moments pass, you can rest easily, knowing time is carrying you forward without effort into the next calm stretch. Dreams do not follow time. They borrow it gently, then return it rearranged. Inside a dream, minutes can stretch into journeys. Years can pass without leaving weight. Time becomes texture instead of sequence. Your mind stops counting, it starts drifting. In dreams, cause and effect loosen their grip. Moments connect by feeling rather than order. This is not confusion, it is a different kind of organization. Time in dreams is emotional. It expands around meaning and collapses around detail. A single image can hold an entire story. A brief sensation can feel endless. The brain does not need clocks when it dreams. It uses rhythm instead. Dreams arrive when your waking sense of time relaxes. As attention softens, time slips its straight edges. Sleep creates a quiet pocket where time can rest. This is why dreams feel timeless when you wake. They resist being placed on a timeline. You may know a dream lasted only seconds, yet it feels much larger. Time does not argue with this feeling. During dreams, the brain's usual markers go offline. No schedules, no countdowns, no urgency. Time becomes permissive. You can move between scenes without transition. Moments overlap without explanation. The mind does not mind. Dream time has no past to return to and no future to prepare for. Everything exists in a soft present. This is one of the few states where humans experience time without forward pressure. Dreams are not behind you or ahead of you. They float beside you. When you wake, time resumes its familiar shape. But something remains loosened. A trace of softness follows you back. This is why waking slowly matters. It allows time to reassemble gently. Abrupt awakening sharpens time too quickly. Slow waking lets it settle. Even outside dreams, you sometimes experience dreamlike time. Moments of deep focus, creative flow, quiet absorption. In these states, time stops checking itself. You do not lose time, you enter it differently. Dreams remind you that time is flexible. It adapts to consciousness. This flexibility exists even when you are awake. You simply notice it less. The sense of how long is optional. In deep rest, time does not disappear. It becomes wide. There are cultures that see dreams as places, not events. Spaces you visit, not sequences you endure. In those views, time in dreams is not broken. It is simply shaped differently. Dreams do not waste time. They use it efficiently, compressing experience. A night of dreaming can restore what hours of waking cannot. Time inside dreams is generous. It gives without asking. Even now, as you listen, your mind may begin to drift. Thoughts loosen, edges blur. This is not losing focus. It is time preparing to soften again. You do not need to follow any image. They will pass on their own. Time will carry you whether you are awake, dreaming, or resting between. As this part settles, allow your awareness to float without direction. There is no schedule here, no duration to manage, just a gentle unfolding. As time opens, another quiet space for you to rest inside before the next calm stretch begins. There was a time when the universe had barely learned how to be old, not young in years, but new in motion. In those earliest moments, time unfolded cautiously, as if testing its own shape. There were no clocks, no rhythms, no reference points. Only change, learning how to continue. The universe did not begin with seconds. Seconds arrived later. At first, everything happened close together. Space was tight. Moments overlapped. Time had not yet learned to stretch. As the universe expanded, time learned to breathe. Moments grew longer. Intervals found space between them. This widening allowed patterns to form. Repetition became possible. The first light did not rush outward. It spread gently, filling space without urgency. That ancient light still moves today, thin and quiet, arriving long after it was sent. You can see it if you look deep enough into the sky. A faint glow, older than stars, older than planets, older than names. Time carried it patiently. Before stars existed, time still passed. Before galaxies had shape, time still continued. It does not require structure to move. The universe learned its pace gradually. Nothing was decided all at once. Gravity took time to gather itself. Matter drifted, met, separated, and met again. Every meeting was a moment. Every separation, another. Time did not keep count. It simply allowed continuation. The first stars formed slowly as if time wanted to be sure. When they finally ignited, it was not sudden. It was inevitable. Time prefers inevitability over surprise. Even the most dramatic events in the universe unfold over long spans when viewed closely. What looks instant from afar is often a patient sequence up close. The universe has always favored patience. There were eras with nothing but darkness and cooling. No observers, no records. Time still passed perfectly. Nothing was wasted. Those empty stretches allowed later complexity. Stillness prepared space for structure. Time understands preparation. Even now, the universe continues to change at speeds too slow to notice. Galaxies drift, stars age, space stretches. Everything is moving, just not urgently. The universe has never hurried toward an outcome. It has always allowed itself to become. You are part of that same timing. Your life unfolds on a smaller scale, but the rhythm is familiar. Moments gather, patterns emerge. Change happens without being forced. Time inside you echoes time outside. There is no rush built into existence. The universe does not aim for completion. It continues. This is why endings feel artificial. Time does not recognize them fully. Everything simply moves into another form. Even now, as you rest, time is not pushing you forward. It is holding you inside its ongoing motion. You are not late. You are not early. You are arriving exactly when you should. As this part gently fades, there is nothing to conclude. Time does not close chapters. It lets them soften into what comes next. Let your thoughts grow light. Let the sense of duration loosen. The universe has carried time carefully for billions of years. It can carry you now, quietly, into the next calm unfolding. There are pieces of time you never felt pass. They are not missing. They simply moved quietly. Skipped time happens more often than you realize. Moments dissolve when attention looks away. You arrive somewhere and cannot remember the journey. Time carried you there without asking you to notice. This is not a failure of memory. It is time being efficient. Your mind does not record what it does not need. There are conversations you remember only by how they felt. The words have faded, but time kept the emotion. Time knows what to store lightly. Lost time is rarely lost. It is absorbed into continuity. Hours pass while you are focused, and they do not announce their departure. This is time at ease. When you daydream, time loosens. It becomes porous. Thoughts drift forward and backward without resistance. Moments overlap gently. Imagine time feels real because your brain experiences it as movement. Even when nothing changes outside, time inside continues. This is why anticipation can feel long and memory can feel close. You can relive a moment from years ago and feel it press against the present. Time folds easily in the mind. There are days that feel incomplete because time did not leave clear marks. Nothing stood out. Nothing insisted on staying. These days are not empty. They are smooth. Smooth time does not leave edges behind. There are also moments that feel larger than their duration. A glance, a pause, a quiet realization. Time stretches around significance. It does not obey length, it obeys weight. Skipped time often appears during comfort. When nothing demands vigilance, time moves freely. This is why safe places feel timeless. Lost time can feel unsettling only when you try to retrieve it. When you let it remain uncounted, it becomes peaceful. Time does not need to be accounted for to have passed well. You are not meant to remember everything. You are meant to continue. Memory is not a record of time. It is a suggestion. Time itself remains intact whether you recall it or not. There are entire portions of your life that exist only as atmosphere, not stories, not images, just a sense of having been. That is enough. Imagined futures also consume time. They feel real because they borrow attention. Worry stretches time thin. Hope softens it. Both exist in moments that have not happened yet. Time allows imagination to wander through it freely. It does not correct you. There is no official version of time inside your mind, only experience. Even forgetting is a form of time passing gently. The mind releases moments the way trees release leaves, without regret. You do not lose the season because you lose the leaf. Time continues to move forward even when awareness drifts sideways. This is not inefficiency. It is kindness. Right now, you do not need to track where time is going. It is going where it always goes, forward, without demanding attention. As this part settles into stillness, there is no need to recover anything. No moment is required to be retrieved. Time has already carried it safely onward. Let your thoughts loosen their grip. Let moments pass without inspection. Skipped time is gentle time, and gentle time knows exactly what it is doing as it carries you quietly into the next calm stretch. Waiting does not slow time. It changes how time touches you. When you wait, your attention stays awake. It watches the space between moments. That space begins to stretch. Time feels longer because it is exposed. Nothing is wrong with waiting. It is simply time without distraction. When you expect something, each second stands alone instead of blending. Waiting separates moments gently, like beads sliding apart on a string. This is why anticipation can feel heavy, not because time is dragging, but because you are present for every step. When you wait calmly, time feels different, still wide, but softer. Expectation tightens time. Acceptance loosens it. A watched moment does not behave the same as an unwatched one. Waiting rooms feel timeless because they exist outside purpose. They are spaces where time has nothing to accomplish. Nothing begins there. Nothing ends. Time rests. This is why people feel strange in such places. They are not used to time without direction. Children wait differently. They fill waiting with imagination. Time bends to play. Adults often fill waiting with worry. Time sharpens. The difference is not duration. It is texture. When you stop measuring how long something should take, time settles into a smoother shape. Waiting becomes space instead of delay. Nature waits constantly. Seeds wait in soil. Snow waits on branches. Nothing complains. Waiting is time gathering itself. Some of the longest waits in the universe are entirely unnoticed. Stars wait millions of years before changing. Galaxies wait longer still. Time does not mind waiting. It was never in a hurry. When you wait without resistance, time does not feel like an obstacle. It becomes background. You have waited through moments of your life that you never named as waiting. Healing waits. Understanding waits. Rest waits. Not everything arrives on command. Waiting is not empty time. It is preparation without tension. Silence is a form of waiting where nothing is missing. The moment you stop checking the clock, waiting dissolves. Time resumes its quiet passing. This is why falling asleep often happens when you stop trying to sleep. Time arrives when effort leaves. Waiting ends not when something happens, but when attention softens. Right now, you are not waiting for anything, and time feels gentle. There is nothing scheduled in this moment, nothing delayed. Time is not holding anything back from you. As this part drifts towards stillness, allow waiting to loosen completely. Let moments arrive without being counted. Time does not require your patience. It already has its own. And as you rest inside that understanding, time moves on quietly, carrying you forward into the next calm unfolding. There is a kind of time that appears when you are not fully awake and not yet asleep. It lives in the quiet space between. In this place, time loosens its structure. Moments slide into one another without edges. Thoughts arrive without beginnings and leave without endings. You may notice images drifting through your mind, not dreams yet, just fragments. Time here does not move forward, it floats. Seconds lose their order. They stop standing in lines. This is why you can feel like you have been resting for a long time, even if only a few minutes have passed, or like hours have gone by when the clock says otherwise. Time in half sleep follows feeling, not sequence. The mind no longer needs to know what comes next. It allows moments to arrive on their own. This is one of the gentlest forms of time a human can experience. In this state, memory becomes thin, not absent, just quiet. You are aware, but not recording. Time is happening, but it is not being stored. This is why these moments are hard to describe later. They were never meant to be remembered. They were meant to be experienced lightly. Your breathing often deepens here. Your muscles release without instruction. Time follows the body's relaxation. In this space, the mind stops managing time and lets it move freely. There is no urgency, no direction, just a slow drifting. This is where dreams begin to form softly, without announcement. Time bends around imagery. Scenes appear without duration. A single sensation can feel vast. A single sound can echo without length. The mind does not ask how long it lasts. It only asks how it feels. This is ancient time, older than language, older than clocks. Humans have entered this space for as long as they have rested. It is a reminder that time does not always need structure. You do not need to follow it. When you wake briefly during the night, time may feel strange and distant. The world seems paused, even though it is not. That pause is not outside. It is inside your awareness. Time has stepped back, allowing you to float. There is no need to re-enter the day, no need to locate yourself on a schedule. Time will reassemble when needed. For now, it is allowed to remain soft. These half-awake moments are not empty. They are deeply restorative. Time uses them to smooth itself. Even now, if your thoughts feel hazy, time is doing its quiet work. Nothing needs to be clear, nothing needs to be counted. As this part gently fades, you do not need to hold on to it. Time will carry you onward into deeper rest or into the next calm unfolding. Either way, time is not asking anything from you. It is simply moving with you, slowly, kindly, without keeping score. Long ago, time was not something people chased. It was something they watched. Ancient humans did not hurry through days. They listened for change instead. The rising of the sun was enough, the lengthening of shadows, the return of stars to familiar places. Time spoke through the sky. Stone circles were placed carefully, aligned with solstices and equinoxes, not to control time, but to notice it arriving. These places were not clocks, they were reminders. When light touched a certain stone, it meant the season had turned. Nothing more was required. Time was not divided into small pieces. It moved in arcs and cycles. Years were felt through temperature, through harvests and rest. Winter was not late. Summer was not early. Each arrived when it arrived. Many ancient cultures saw time as circular, not beginning and ending, but returning. What had happened would happen again, not exactly, but rhythmically. This made time less frightening. If something passed, it would come back in another form. A day mirrored a lifetime. Morning was birth, night was rest. Nothing truly ended. Some cultures measured time by events. A hunt, a flood, a great storm. Time was remembered as story, not number. This meant time stayed human-sized. You could live inside it without being crushed by precision. Calendars grew slowly as attempts to cooperate with time, not to command it. When calendars became strict, time became narrow. But originally, time was spacious. The moon taught patience. It never rushed through its phases. Its slow change reminded people that transformation does not need speed. The stars offered reassurance. They returned reliably, even when life on Earth felt uncertain. Time felt stable because the sky was stable. Ancient people trusted time because it revealed itself openly. They did not worry about losing time. It could not be misplaced. Time belonged to the world, not to schedules. Rest was not earned. It was expected. Work followed daylight. Sleep followed darkness. Time flowed with the body. Even now, your body remembers this older rhythm. It responds to light and quiet. You feel calmer at dusk, not because you decide to, but because time gently suggests it. Modern time is sharp and segmented. Ancient time was soft and wide. Neither is wrong, but one is easier to rest inside. When you imagine ancient nights with fires low and stars bright, time feels different, slower, more forgiving. People did not wonder if they were on time. They wondered if the season felt right. Time did not judge productivity. It observed balance. These ancient relationships with time have not disappeared. They live quietly inside you. When you feel calm watching a sunset, that is ancient time returning. When you feel grounded by routine, that is old rhythm speaking. Time has always known how to move gently. It is humans who sometimes forget. As this part settles into stillness, you do not need to imagine the past clearly. Just feel the softness of time when it is not being pushed. Time does not need to be followed closely. It knows where it is going. And you are allowed to rest inside its wider rhythm as the next calm stretch slowly begins. There are changes so slow that sound cannot follow them. No crack, no echo, just movement without announcement. Sound is quick. Time does not need to be. A mountain does not make noise as it rises. It listens to pressure and responds over ages. What takes centuries leaves no footsteps. Rivers change their paths without speaking. They shift grain by grain, learning patience from gravity. Time prefers this kind of work, quiet, persistent. Sound marks events. Time marks processes. A thunderclap is loud because it happens fast. Erosion is silent because it never stops. There are movements beneath your feet right now, continents drifting, rock folding slowly into itself. They will never be heard. They do not need witnesses. Ice flows like thick honey. Glaciers move inches each day, carrying centuries inside their blue depths. If you listened, you would hear nothing. But time is moving all the same. Some stars change color over millions of years. No sound accompanies the shift. No signal announces the transition. Time allows change to happen privately. Sound fades quickly. Time does not. A bell rings and stops. Time continues before and after, uninterrupted. This is why silence feels long. There is nothing to divide it. When there is no sound, time spreads out. Quiet rooms feel larger because time has space to settle. There are moments in your life that changed everything without a single loud signal. Understanding arrived silently. Acceptance followed quietly. Time worked without announcement. Grief often changes shape without sound. Healing does too. These processes do not need noise to be real. Time does not depend on evidence. It depends on continuation. Some of the most important changes happen beneath awareness. Your body renews itself quietly. Cells replace cells. Bones adjust. You never hear this happening. Time inside you works silently and faithfully. Sound belongs to the surface of things. Time belongs to their depth. The slow turning of a galaxy has no sound, yet it is one of the largest movements known. Time does not rush to be noticed. There are nights when nothing seems to happen, no messages, no interruptions. Those nights are full of time. Soundless time often feels safest. There is no urgency carried on air. This is why people seek quiet places. They want time without noise. The absence of sound allows time to feel wide instead of sharp. Silence is not empty. It is time without commentary. Even now, if you listen carefully, you may hear very little. Yet time is moving perfectly. Moments are passing without resistance. Nothing needs to announce itself to be real. Time does not need volume. It is content to move slowly beneath sound, beneath notice, beneath effort. As this part settles into calm, let silence be enough. Let time continue without marking itself. You do not need to listen for it. It will pass gently whether you hear it or not. And you can rest inside that quiet movement, unhurried, as the next calm stretch of time begins to form. There are endings in the universe that take longer than beginnings. Stars are like that. A star does not suddenly decide to end. It spends millions, sometimes billions of years, slowly preparing for its final change. Most of a star's life is quiet. It burns steadily, almost invisibly, doing the same gentle work again and again. Time inside a star moves patiently. Pressure balances heat. Light pushes outward. Gravity pulls inward. For a very long time, nothing needs to change. From far away, a star looks constant. But inside, time is always at work, layer by layer. When a star begins to reach the end of its life, it does not announce it to the universe. The change starts deep inside, where no light escapes. Fuel grows scarce, reactions slow, balance begins to loosen. This does not happen in a moment. It happens across ages. A star can spend millions of years in its final stages, quietly adjusting. Time stretches these moments wide. From the outside, nothing looks urgent. The star still shines. The sky still looks calm. Time hides the ending carefully. When the final change comes, what we call a last second is not truly a second at all. It is the end of a long conversation between gravity and light. The dramatic flash people imagine is only the surface expression of a process that took forever. Even a supernova, one of the brightest events in the universe, is slow when viewed from inside time. The collapse begins gently. Matter falls inward. Light struggles. Then, only at the very end, does brightness surge outward. Time compresses itself briefly, like a held breath finally released. From Earth, that moment may look sudden, but to the star, it was the final page of a very long story. Some stars do not explode at all. They simply fade. They shed their outer layers slowly, forming glowing clouds that drift for thousands of years. These clouds carry the star's time outward, spreading it gently into space. Nothing is wasted. The elements formed inside the star continue their journey. They drift, mix, and eventually become part of new worlds. Time does not end with the star. It changes form. The light from a dying star may travel for millions of years before touching anyone's eyes. When you see such light, you are witnessing an ending that is already finished. Time delivers it late, but faithfully. Some of the stars you see tonight no longer exist. Their time has already moved on. Yet their light continues to arrive, quiet and unchanged. Time allows this overlap, endings and arrivals happening together. In the universe, nothing ends all at once. Every ending leaves behind a long echo. This is why the sky feels calm, even though it is full of change. Time smooths everything. The death of a star is not violent to time. It is cooperative. Time makes room for something else to begin. Your own life follows this same principle on a smaller scale. Changes that feel sudden often took a long time to form. Understanding, healing, letting go. These begin quietly, long before they become visible. Time prepares endings gently so they're not too sharp. Nothing truly disappears. It transforms and continues elsewhere. Stars teach this patiently over unimaginable spans. Even the brightest endings are slow from the inside. As this part slowly settles, let that idea rest softly with you. Nothing important needs to rush. Nothing meaningful happens all at once. Time knows how to end things without breaking them. And as the universe continues its quiet work, you can rest safely inside time's long patience, allowing the next calm movement to arrive on its own. Time has a quiet flexibility. It can stretch without tearing. It can bend without complaint. When something moves very fast, time does not resist. It simply lengthens around it, creating more room. This stretching is not dramatic. There is no sound, no signal. Time adjusts the way fabric does by giving. Light traveling across the universe experiences time differently than you do. For light, the journey does not feel long. Distance exists. Duration softens. Time accommodates motion with patience. Gravity stretches time as well. Near massive objects, moments widen. Seconds grow heavier, as if resting longer before moving on. Time does not argue with gravity. It cooperates. This is why two clocks can disagree and still both be correct. Time does not insist on a single pace. The universe contains many versions of now, each moving gently alongside the others. None is wrong. None is privileged. Time does not rank moments. When space stretches, time stretches with it. They move together, quiet partners in expansion. The universe grows larger each moment, and time grows wider to match. Nothing snaps, nothing strains. Stretching does not weaken time. It gives it resilience. This is why time can hold so much history without collapsing under its own weight. Billions of years fit comfortably because time knows how to make room. Inside your own life, time stretches too. Moments of deep focus lengthen softly. Moments of rest expand around comfort. You have felt this without naming it. A calm afternoon can feel wide, even if it passes quickly on a clock. Time stretches where resistance is low. Stress tightens time. Ease allows it to lengthen. This is not psychological trickery. It is responsiveness. Time reacts to conditions. In the universe, extreme conditions reveal this clearly. Near black holes, time stretches so far that it nearly stops. From far away, you would see motion slow, as if the universe were holding its breath. Time does not fear these extremes. It adapts. Nothing tears, nothing breaks. Time was never rigid enough to shatter. Stretching is part of its nature. Even the far future of the universe will not end time abruptly. It will thin, it will spread, it will become spacious. Moments will be far apart, but they will still exist. Time does not disappear, it diffuses. This gentleness is why the universe feels stable. Change happens, but it is cushioned. Time is the cushion. Your own sense of time can learn from this. You do not need to hold moments tightly. If you let them stretch, they will not fall apart. There is room. Right now, nothing is demanding speed. No urgency is pulling at you. Time is allowed to widen. You can rest inside its flexibility. Breaths come when they come. Thoughts drift when they drift. Time stretches around your stillness, making space for rest. As this part slowly settles, there is no edge to notice. Time does not end sections sharply, it blends them. Allow this moment to lengthen gently. Let it soften. Time will carry you onward without strain, into the next calm unfolding, wide enough to hold you comfortably. Some moments do not finish cleanly. They do not close their doors. They simply soften and remain. Time allows this. An ending does not always mean disappearance. Often, it means diffusion. A conversation ends, but its tone lingers in the air. A day ends, but its feeling carries into the next. Time does not insist on sharp boundaries. There are experiences that never fully leave you, not as memories you revisit, but as quiet adjustments to how you move through the world. Time keeps these gently, without replay. A moment of safety can echo for years. A realization can quietly rearrange everything that follows. These are not frozen in time, they are absorbed into it. Time does not erase, it integrates. This is why certain places feel familiar even if you have not been there for a long time. Time has left a trace, not an image, but a feeling. Some goodbyes do not feel final because time does not treat them as such. They simply become quieter. Love does not end when contact does. Time stretches it thinner, but does not break it. Learning works the same way. You do not finish learning something and leave it behind. It becomes part of how you notice things. Time carries lessons forward without labels. This is why growth often feels invisible. There's no clear moment when it completes. It continues quietly, layer by layer. There are days that feel unfinished, not because something was missing, but because nothing needed to conclude. Time allows open shapes. Even grief changes this way. It does not vanish. It transforms into background presence. Time softens it gradually, without instruction. Nothing is rushed. The universe itself is full of events that never fully ended. Light from distant stars continues long after their source is gone. Ripples move outward endlessly. Time does not pull echoes back, it lets them travel. This is why the past is not behind you. It is around you, thinned out, diffused. Time spreads moments rather than stacking them. Some feelings fade into atmosphere. They no longer demand attention, but they shape the space you inhabit. This is not loss, it is continuity. Endings feel abrupt only when we expect closure. Time does not specialize in closure. It specializes in continuation. Even sleep is not a full stop. It is a soft handoff from one state to another. You do not disappear when you sleep. You shift. Time moves with you. Right now, this moment does not need to end. It can simply become quieter. Nothing must be resolved. Nothing must be remembered. Time is comfortable with unfinished edges. That comfort is available to you. You do not need to tie moments together tightly. You can let them blend. Time will hold them. As this part eases toward stillness, notice how nothing truly stops. It just becomes softer, less distinct, more spacious. Moments that never fully end are not incomplete. They are still unfolding, just gently, without urgency. Let this one do the same. Let it thin into calm. Time will carry its quiet remainder forward with you into the final, slowly settling stretch. There comes a point when time no longer needs your attention, not because it stops, but because it knows you are resting. Time has been carrying you all along, through motion and stillness, through awareness and forgetting. Now, it loosens its hold. You are not leaving time behind. You are simply no longer holding on to it. In deep rest, time becomes almost transparent. It passes without weight, without demand. Moments do not line up. They dissolve softly into one another. This is not the absence of time. It is time without pressure. You do not need to follow it anymore. It will continue on its own. The body understands this instinctively. Breathing slows, muscles release, time adjusts its pace to match. Nothing important is scheduled here. Nothing is waiting. Time is no longer counting forward. It is surrounding you gently. There are places in the universe where time thins like this. Wide regions of calm where nothing insists on change. The universe does not rush those places. It lets them remain quiet. You are allowed the same stillness. When you stop measuring how long something takes, time stops feeling sharp. It becomes background. Thoughts may come and go. They do not need to form sequences. Time does not need them to. This is where time lets go, not of you, but of control. You are not being carried toward anything right now. You are simply being held. Held by continuity, held by rhythm, held by the same patience that moves stars and seasons. Nothing needs to be remembered from this moment. Time will not ask you to recall it. Rest does not require memory. In the deepest quiet, time becomes almost kind. It steps aside so you can sink. There is no edge to fall from, no ending to reach, just a gradual softening. If sleep arrives, time will walk with you into it. If wakefulness remains, time will sit quietly beside you. Either way, nothing is demanded. The future does not pull. The past does not call. Time has released its grip. This is not something you need to do. It is something that happens when nothing resists. Even the universe rests this way sometimes. Long stretches of calm between events. Those stretches are not empty. They are essential. Time does not exist only to move forward. It also exists to allow rest. Right now, it is doing exactly that. You do not need to stay aware. You do not need to drift intentionally. Just let time continue without asking anything of you. Let it hold the movement while you let go. And as the quiet deepens and moments lose their shape, know that nothing has stopped. Time is still there, steady, patient, infinite. It has simply stepped back, giving you permission to rest inside it completely. Close your eyes if they are not already closed. Let the sense of duration fade. Time will remain, watching gently as you sink into warmth, into silence, into sleep.